I welcome you here for the real purpose of the meeting, which is that we have a progress report on what happened in the federal court in Philadelphia, who heard the appeal of Mumia Abu-Jamal on the 17th of May. The court heard about racism in jury selection, about the bias of the judge and prosecutor, and in general about the unfairness, and an unfairness which has riven by the most terrible racism in the trial of Mumia, and we'll have reports on that. The aim of the exercise in court in Philadelphia was to obtain a retrial of Mumia, and that was his wish. Now, I know a lot of us get very frustrated by the legal process, and we would love to say that automatically our client is innocent and that we ought to release him straight away. Unfortunately, the realities of life are such that that is not something which we are in any position to do. And all of us who have had any kind of connection with political trials and so forth in the law know that we have to go through the trial process and that we have to fight in the courts. And I remember in going back to about 1979, when practically the whole of the Potere Operaio movement were arrested in Italy. At the same time, the fascists who had bombed Bologna railway station were also being held on trial. And the comrades from Potere Operaio, who were being held in very bad prison conditions and subjected to the delay which is inherent in the Italian system, felt that because of their revolutionary duty, it would be wrong for them to make an application to the bourgeois court of the European Convention on Human Rights, until eventually, from his prison cell, Tony Negri wrote a long paper on civil rights and liberties in a bourgeois capitalist society, which talked about the space within which people have to struggle. And at that point, the comrades then started issuing proceedings, which led in fact to a lot of them being released. But in the interval, of course, there had been an awful lot of suffering, because they took the view that the legal process was simply part of the superstructure of the capitalist system, and if you were in prison, there wasn't very much you could do about it. And I hope that we got rid of all that kind of nonsense 35 years ago. I don't want to take up any time in introducing these issues, but as you know, 150 lawyers from this country felt that this was an issue which transcended national boundaries, and that as lawyers who have practiced in areas of anti-racism and who share a common legal heritage with the United States, we felt that it was necessary that we made comments on the complete unfairness of the whole judicial proceedings, but also commented that the big difference between those of us who practice on this side of the Atlantic have abolished the death penalty. The death penalty has been abolished in every single member state of the European Union, in all those countries who have signed up to the European Charter, including countries like the Ukraine and the Soviet Union, who have abolished the death penalty. As far as the Caribbean is concerned, court rulings of the Privy Council have held that anyone who has been on death row for 5 years should immediately have their sentences commuted, because that being part of that death row phenomenon for so long means that they have been subjected to inhuman degrading treatment, contrary to the constitutions of countries like Jamaica and other countries in the Caribbean. And more recently, it has been held, again by the Privy Council, that in any country where a sentence of death is the mandatory penalty for any kind of murder, for example, in some countries it's been mandatory for the murder of police officers and others, that too is unconstitutional, because it means that those particular defendants are facing inhuman and degrading treatment. So there have been enormous developments completely contrary to those that have been taking place in the United States throughout the rest of the world. And therefore we felt it was important that we pointed this out to, in a long letter signed by 150 lawyers. We pointed this out to the court, and I think that, as far as I'm aware, the court did in fact receive our letter. Whether they read it, it is another matter, but they certainly received it.